Shotgun formation for Dukes. Back to pass. Looking. He's hit it. He's sacked. Ball on the ground. Tigers recover it. That's Elijah Spivey. Spivey inside the 5 at the 4. Gavin Anderson with the strip. And Elijah Spivey recovers.
Great job by Gavin Anderson there to get that strip.
You're tuned in to The Greg Ruffin Show, your weekly look inside Edward Waters football. The Greg Ruffin Show is brought to you by Pepsi, the official soft drink of Edward Waters Athletics. Under Armour, official outfitter of the Tigers. Wells Fargo, together we'll go far. UF Health Jacksonville, proud sports medicine partner of Tiger Athletics, the City of Jacksonville, and Edward Waters College. To find out how you can become a Tiger, log on to www.ewc.edu. Now, along with head coach Greg Ruffin, here is the voice of the Tigers, Joshua Jackson.
Rough night of the office for the Men in Orange last Friday night as Edward Waters falls to number 5 Lindsey Wilson by a final score of 50-13. Welcome into this week's edition of the Greg Ruffin Show, Coach. Not exactly the way that we envisioned it going into the game, and you just got to tip your hat to Lindsey Wilson with the way that they played that entire football contest.
Yeah, they did a good job. I think, early on, in particular the first quarter, we came out, we scored, first. The kids were fired up. And I just think, over the course of the game, it was, you look at the stat sheet in terms of penalties, we were very, very much penalized. We had 13 penalties for 259 yards. That's what putting up 378 yards offense and having several touchdowns called back. So, I wasn't real pleased with the officiating, but after going back and looking at the film, they did a decent job, but it was some things that weren't called. I think that I was pretty much, kind of perturbed about, in terms of turning everything into the supervisor of officials. So, we've got to do a little bit better execution-wise. We got to be able to stop the run, and we got to have a better night defensively. Of course, our offense played at a much higher level than our defense did. In last week, it was vice versa. The defense was lights out for 3 quarters, and the offense turned it on in the 4th quarter. So it's just some things that we got to improve upon. We got a young football team, but we're not going to always be able to use young as our rallying cry and our excuse here, though.
And when you're playing against a team at home, a highly ranked team, there was a lot of emotion in the atmosphere that Friday night. You kind of need things to kind of go. You kind of need to pretty much play flawless football on Friday. And as you said, Edward Waters came out. They swung early, got that first touchdown, and momentum started to go your way to start. But Lindsey Wilson just came back, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah, and I think that one particular play in the second quarter on the touchback, because that was a 14-point swing right there. We were still in the game then, and it kind of swung from there. When the ball was, Tyler was reaching out and the ball squirted out his hands, and the touchback was called. Of course, the view we had, we didn't have the greatest view. We thought he scored, and then talking with him, he said, "Hey, I touched the pylon with the ball." I got a photo. Snapshot of it from the huddle link from Lindsey Wilson's side, from the supervisor officials, John Smoot, and clearly the ball was out, and I just, and it just, it's a teachable moment for our guys, and like I told Tyler, I said, we got to have ball security. It's one of the most important things, ball security. So we'll see how it goes and see if we can improve as we head to Georgia this week to play point.
Go ahead, we'll take our first time out. When we come back, we'll have first half highlights of Edward Waters and Lindsey Wilson. Right after this, you're on the Greg Ruffin Show.
This is the Pepsi that your father drank, and his father drank before he met your grandmother. This is the Pepsi for this model and his mom. Hi, Cindy. Oh, hi, Brittany. Have you met Uncle Drew? This is the Pepsi that's back from the future and back for one last ride. This is the first Pepsi on the moon.
What? No.
Fine. This is the Pepsi for moonwalkers. This is the Pepsi for every generation.
So how do you make it? There's Natasha's way. Be shy, focus on yourself, until they focus on you. Then there's Dennis. Work with what you got to get what you don't. Or you could be like me. Dream of pro football, get hurt, dream over. So how did I get here? By being the hardest worker in the room. How are you gonna get here?
day one, we always came through for our customers. It's how we earned your trust. Until we lost it. Today, we're renewing our commitment to you, fixing what went wrong and ending product sales goals for branch bankers, so we can focus on your satisfaction. It's a new day at Wells Fargo, but it's a lot like our first day. Wells Fargo, established 1852, re-established 20.
Welcome back to the Greg Ruffin Show, Coach. Going into the first half of play again, you guys were really fired up and seemed like you were ready to take on this tough opponent in Lindsey Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you look at the first half stats, you know, I think one of the biggest things that sticks out to me is that the fact that, you know, we gave up 136 yards on 8 carries to the Ingleton kid. He's a good back. A couple of those long runs after reviewing the film. I mean, you know, it was some obvious holding, and I think my biggest thing was, you know, first when we ran that draw in the third or fourth quarter for 70 yards, we didn't get that same call, you know, and so, but we just got to fight through that. We're not gonna get the calls, and I told the kids we just got to expect when we get out the bus it's 14-0, and let's just have a mindset of that we're gonna be playing from behind. But the kid had 136 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns in the first half, you know, so. You know, of course, Tyler Gilbert had four catches for 100 yards in the first half. Abdul Lieber did a good job. He had 3 catches. Kamari, 3 catches. Tiberius had 2 catches. Great, outstanding catch when he laid out across the middle. But then he turned around and he drops one that hits him right in the breadbasket. So, you know, our biggest thing is, you know, we're youthful right now, and we just got to be consistent. I think the thing, if we can preach consistency and being able to take it, because, you know, we've had 2 games. We've had a game where we clearly could have won, and we lost by 2 points. You know, a mistake here and there. You know, well, you take 3 mistakes out of that game, and we may win it by 2 touchdowns. Then you come back the next week, and then you play a nationally ranked team, and you play well for a quarter, you know, and then it snowballs in the second quarter from there. So, you know, our biggest thing is we just got to be consistent. You know, we had some kids that made some plays, in particular on offense. You know, we stepped it up, made some plays. But, I mean, I think the biggest thing that stuck out in the first half was our inability to stop the run. And they leaned on us some, you know, a lot in the inside, and, you know, and that was a result of it.
Enjoy first half highlights of Edward Waters and Lindsey Wilson here on the Greg Ruffin Show.
6 remaining first quarter. No score between the Tigers and the Blue Raiders. Again, the opening drive for Edward Waters, and for a team that struggled in the first half offensively, they're picking up right where they left off from last week's contest when they scored 13 unanswered points in the fourth quarter of last week's contest.
I feel like you got to be able to power this one in. At least 2 plays. Give me 2 power plays if it takes that many.
Play action for Jones. Jones breaks a tackle. Jones still looking. Jones looking, throwing. Unbelievable! Touchdown Tigers! 21-yard line. Ingleton back in the game at running back, sidecar to the left. Puts a receiver in motion. Takes a low snap. Back to passes. Dukes is going to throw. He's got a man. It is nearly picked off by Kennard Mahone, as that pass was underthrown, intended for Trey Wright.
I think he mistimed his jump. Hey, I'm gonna give some love right now to the offensive line. They are holding their blocks after they gave up that safety on the last drive. The guys up front, they're doing their job. They're hanging in there. They're opening up some holes. And now look, you're inside. You're almost at the 25-yard line, getting into the red zone, a little bit closer there.
1st and 10 for Edward Waters. Ball spotted at the 27-yard line of Lindsey Wilson. 11:33 left to go, second quarter. 16-6 Blue Raiders with the lead. Jones in the gun. 9 on the play clock now for Edward Waters. Jones will take the snap. Back to pass, flush to the pocket, rolls over to the left side. Still looking, he's going to tuck, he's going to run. Jones to the 20. Jones is going to have the first down. Jones. 10:20 left to go until halftime. 16-6, Lindsey Wilson with the lead, but the Tigers on the march once again. Jones in the gun. Hale the backside, guard left. Jones back to pass. Jones has got to flush. He's got to run. Jones looking, throwing. Man, wide open, caught. Touchdown, Tigers. Tiberius Horn, actually Abdul Label, makes the touchdown reception for EWC. 1st and 10 for the Tigers from their own 43-yard line. Clock runs under 9 minutes to go here in this first half. Tigers down 10. Jones takes the shotgun snap. Back to pass, looking, throwing, deep's got a man. Tyler Gilbert. Gilbert at the 20. Gilbert 15, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lost the football. He lost it through the end zone. Is that a touchdown or not?
Oh,
That's a touchback.
Goodness. I think he lost. Big third down. You need a 3 and out. You need a 3 and out. Get your offense back on the field so they can reclaim themselves. Defense has to get a stop right here.
3rd and 14 for Lindsey Wilson. Ball backed up to their own 16-yard line. Shotgun formation for Dukes. Back to pass. Looking. He's hit it. He's sacked. Ball on the ground. Tigers recover it. That's Elijah Spivey. Spivey inside the 5 at the 4. Gavin Anderson with the strip. And Elijah Spivey recovers.
Great job by Gavin Anderson there to get that strip.
Freshman from right here in Jacksonville won a state championship last year with the Reigns Vikings. A 25-yard field goal attempt right between the hashes to bring the Tigers to within 7. Snap, spot, kick is blocked.
My goodness.
Dukes takes the snap. Inside handoff. That's Ingleton. Ingleton up the gut. Still on his feet. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Lindsey Wilson.
Too many missed tackles.
Here's the kick from Doherty. High, end over end. George will take it from the 10. George looking for a block, and there's no blocking whatsoever. He beat the wall, and straight tackle. Dale George at the Lindsey Wilson 27-yard line. Jones rolling. Got to turn around, looking, throwing deep, looks for a man. It is lays out. Did he make that catch?
Give it to him, yes, sir.
Catch is made.
Great catch at the 35-yard line.
Tiberius Horn. 2nd and 12 to the 27 at the 27-yard line. Jones flushed. He's going to look. He's going to throw deep. Man wide open. Caught. Oh, he dropped it. Tiberius Horn dropped the football. Empty backfield for Derek Jones. Here's Jones. Jones flushed. Looking. Jones trying to. He's going to tuck and run. Jones inside the 15. He's going to have the first down. Derek Jones, a gain of 11 and a first down.
Coach, those are the first half highlights, and as you said, Edward Waters down 30-13 to Lindsey Wilson, and statistically, you were right in the game up to that point, going into the locker room, and you'd be able to kind of regroup and get some things going in the second half. You've got an opportunity to be in that game, but in that first half, you counted at least 17 points that, at minimum, that could have been on the scoreboard in your favor, and we're looking at a totally different ball game going into the locker room.
Yeah, and I think being down 30-13 at the half, I think that the onus was still on one possession at a time. I think that's the way we were looking at it. But like, as you say, we came out, and we just still, the ability to be able to, you got the draw that was called back. We had another run that was called back. Just like anything that can happen did happen. And as you say, it was a snowball effect. And I think it was a good game to be able to get that kind of game out the way early. So we've had a close game, and then we got in a game where we got knocked around a little bit, So I think that what we have to do is, we're going to regroup and we're going to have these kids ready to play, as we get down to Battle, Alabama to play Point University this weekend.
We'll go ahead and we'll take another time out. When we come back, we'll have second half highlights of Edward Waters and Lindsey Wilson. You're on the Greg Ruffin Show.
This is Norman Miller. Last year, he had a heart attack and received 2 life-saving stents. This is Dominic Angiolillo. At UF Health, his research predicts how patients will respond to medicines after surgery. Dominic is a big reason Norman's less likely to have another heart attack, even if he never knows it. And it's invisible connections like these that help us move medicine forward with every patient we serve.
Welcome back to the Greg Ruffin Show. Second half highlights on tap. Coach, what was your message to the team getting ready to come out of the locker room here to take on Lindsey Wilson in the second half?
I mean, it's no different than it is each and every week. You know, you just want them to have a mindset that it's 0-0. Get as much as you can while you can, you know. And that was our attempt. And like I said, you know, statistically, we put up the numbers, but I still think it comes back down to having 259 yards in penalties and 13 penalties. I mean, that's. I mean, they had 12 for 119, but 250. You're not gonna beat anybody with 259 yards in penalties. So that's something we got to clean up, you know. And you know, some of it was warranted and some of it was unwarranted. You know, when you go back and you do an assessment of the film, but there's nothing we can do about that. We just gotta, you know, we gotta lace our bootstraps up a little tight and get ready to go. You know, play Point University this week.
And your second half highlights here on the Greg Ruffin Show.
And quickly back to the line of scrimmage. Here comes Lindsey Wilson.
And with that run, Dukes has gone over the 200-yard mark. Screen play and brought down from behind, Boogie Mahone.
Great job. Way to sniff that out and go tackle somebody real quick in the open field. Great job.
Jen left to go third quarter. Jones tucks, runs.
There
Jones
you go.
to
He's
the
got
20,
room.
Jones
There you go.
25,
Block
Jones
downfield.
30. Jones 35, steps, gives himself after around the 36-yard line. Noodle Jones will have enough for an Edward Waters first down.
Good decision. Good decision to get down. I'd like for EWC to get back to running the ball a little bit instead of trying to pick it all up in one or two big plays.
Here's Jones. Delayed draw, handoff. That's Hammett. Hammett 40. Hammett 45. Hammett midfield.
There you go, son.
45-40. 35-30. 25-20. 15-10. 5-4-3-2-1. Touchdown, Edward Waters.
Thank you, sir.
There is a flag.
Man. Oh, my goodness.
There is a flag at the 42-yard line of Edward Waters. 3rd and 5 now for the Blue Raiders from the 30-yard line of Lindsey Wilson.
Defense needs to get him off the field right here. Need a stop.
Done. Back to pass. Flushed. Hit. Brought down. That's a sack for Aaron Luis.
There you go. Good job, defense. 3 and out. Get him off the field.
Back here on the Greg Ruffin Show, Coach, 50-13, our final score. Tigers unfortunately fall to 0-2, but as you said, the statistics, other than the amount of penalties that you had, 13 penalties for 259 yards, things look well for you on that side, especially on the offensive side of the ball with 82 plays and 378 yards by your young offense.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're starting to get some things figured out. I just think that, you know, we've got to be able to move the ball at a pace that says that we can keep the defense off the field. But I mean, I think the biggest disappointment was we just got to clean it up, stopping the run. I mean, we gave up. You know, when you look at the run, you know, we gave up 311 yards rushing and gave up a couple of big time pass plays, 2 or 3 of them. You know, to the tune of 355 yards, and that's not Edward Tigers. That's not our defense. That's not the dark side. So, I think they're gonna have a chip on their shoulders this week if we go to Georgia and over in Alabama to play that game, and there's some things we got to clean up. But I think the kids had a great practice on yesterday, and I think it's just building this thing week by week because of the amount of youth that we have out there. You know, we got a lot of guys playing college football for the first time. But it's not because of lack of effort, you know. It's just some things we got to clean up. You know, guy having the right fit here or there, guy running the right route here and there. quarterback looking to the concept side, things of that nature. And once we get all that cleaned up and we get on the same page, I think we can get this thing going in the right direction.
In his first start in an Edward Waters uniform, Noodle Jones had a great night. 20 of 37 passing, 242 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also added 18 carries for 78 yards. And he's really beginning to understand the concept of being the leader on that offensive side of the football. He brings some dynamic things to your offense we talked about last week and even in some of our previous shows of Inside the Huddle. But guys are really starting to rally around him as being the quarterback of this football team.
Yeah, they're rallying around him. I think the biggest thing that he needs to do is he has to stay within the scope of the offense and not try to do too much. He has the ability to extend plays, but I think, as we told him, there's a time to extend plays, and sometimes you got to hunker in there and you got to stay to the concept side and complete the throws. We got 3-by-1, and you come off the 3-man side and throw to the 1-man side, when in actuality the 3-man side is to the field. So we just got to get him used to doing some things, because a lot of this is some things that he wasn't asked to do over at Robert E. Lee. He was a zone guys, zone read, play action off the zone, things of that nature. But we're asking him to actually read coverages now, read the nickel defender and things like that, and be able to put that ball in there on the wide stick, wide corner, the mesh route. So he's got to stay in there a little bit longer and do some things. So, and he's going to get better, from last week to this week. If it wasn't for he had 2 touchdowns taken away from him. He could have easily thrown for 4 touchdowns. So, we're excited about that. And so, because it's progress. We know what we are in terms of, what kind of football team we have right now. And I think as long as we can continue to see progress, I think we're going to be okay. I think the biggest thing is we've got to get a little bit better on defense, and we can't regress on offense. And I think we'll be fine.
One quick question about offense. You moved Deontay Hale from defensive end to running back. He was an all-district running back at Richlands High School in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and had a pretty decent opening to his debut back there in the backfield for Edward Waters. Did catch the opening touchdown for Edward Waters and was a good blocking back for you for some of your other backs in the backfield there. So just kind of talk about how that all came about the move from him coming from defensive end and moving him back to running back.
Well, he's so aggressive to the point on defense he could be overly aggressive, but we wanted to tap into, it's a difference in reading and reacting and just simply reacting, because he's a guy he's a tough guy, and I'm one of those guys. I'm going to find a place for a tough guy. So the role he's really serving, he's an H-back, tight end, fullback type, short yardage, goal line back. He has all those attributes, and I think even after that play, we went over that play on the goal line when he scored, in the red zone. We went over that play that Friday morning. We went over it about 5 times. So he's a cerebral guy. He picked up on it, and when his number was called, he did exactly what I told him to do. So we're going to continue to get some packages for him. Got to have another young man that just got cleared. That was the first practice was this week. Gabriel Dunn. He's 6'3", 215, 220 pounds. So now you're going to start to see us getting more into our tight end, H-back type game, because we got some bodies that can stand in there and they can block and they can catch the football. So you're going to start to see some elements of the offense kind of change gradually, because we have the ability to be able to have that big wow on the field.
Defensively, it was a rough night on the field for you. However, you were able to force a fumble with Gavin Anderson getting in there, getting a strip sack, and allowing Elijah Spivey to get down and get the ball inside the 5 to get to your first turnover of the year. But you had a few opportunities in that contest as well. Remember, Boogie Mahone had a chance at an interception in the end zone for Edward Waters, and just couldn't come up with it. But, it was a rough night at the office for you defensively, but I know Coach Lewis and those guys will be able to kind of rally around themselves and get ready for a good opponent in point.
Yeah, and as I talk to them, I think they're going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder this week. So I just think some things are just better off not said. We're not going to talk this game. We're going to play this game, and I told them that's the way it's got to be week in and week out. So we'll see what happens this weekend in terms of our improvement as a program and our improvement, and us not regressing, whether it be offensively or defensively. We got to continue to make steps forward. Even if they're gradual, they got to be positive steps going forward.
We'll go ahead and we'll take another timeout, and when we come back, we'll get you set for this week's contest on the road against the Skyhawks of Point University. You're watching The Greg Ruffin Show.
So how do you make it? There's Natasha's way. Be shy, focus on yourself, until they focus on you. Then there's Dennis. Work with what you got to get what you don't. Or you could be like me. Dream of pro football, get hurt, dream over. So how did I get here? By being the hardest worker in the room. How are you gonna get here?
This is the Pepsi that your father drank. And his father drank before he met your grandmother. This is the Pepsi for this model. And his mom. Hi, Cindy. Oh, hi, Brittany. Have you met Uncle Drew? This is the Pepsi that's back from the future. And back for one last ride. This is the first Pepsi on the moon.
What? No.
Fine. This is the Pepsi for moonwalkers. This is the Pepsi for every generation.
Welcome back to the Greg Ruffin Show. Coach, your football team begins a 4-game road trip this weekend over in Valley, Alabama, as you'll take on the Skyhawks of Point University, a team that's given Edward Waters some fits over the years. But in the first couple of games, you faced a sophomore quarterback. You faced another sophomore quarterback last week, and now this week you'll take on a senior quarterback there for the Skyhawks of Point University. They're a team that's looking to get their first win as well. They fell in their first game, and of course they fell last week in their money game against Stetson. So they're going to be a team that's chomping at the bit to get their first victory as well.
Well, it's their home opener, so I mean, we expect them to be fired up because it's their first time, getting to play in front of their home crowd. So, you're going to see some things probably out of them that you didn't see on film, and they're trying to right the ship as well. I know it's early in the season for both programs in terms of trying to gain a win, but I think they're in a situation just like we are. They're hungry, they're chomping at the bit, they want to win. I mean, but the biggest thing about us is, of course, we hadn't won at home yet with the first 2 games at home, but this program didn't get a road win last year either. So everything we do it has some type of milestone attached to it. So we're trying to get a win on the road. A win's a win, but we hadn't got one at home. Hopefully we get one on the road this week and spoil their little home opener. So I think it's going to be I think it's a game of 2 teams that have some similarities. I think they have some things that they can do that can hurt us if we don't pay attention to detail. I think other than that, it's going to be a good football game.
As we mentioned a few moments ago, it's a 4-game road trip now for your young football team. What's the mentality? What are you telling your team right now to get them set? Because as you say, there's so many guys that are playing their first years of college football, and now it's pretty much a us against the world type mentality right now in these next 4 weeks on the road.
Yeah, I think the good thing about it is there's an open week next week, so it doesn't seem as daunting as it may sound. You know what I mean? So because you go on the road this week, you're off next week. Then we come back, we go to Tennessee, and then, of course, we 2 games in Florida. We're back in the state. So I think the biggest thing is being able to go up here and play lights-out football and being able to get these kids in a position where they can go a couple of days next week and then just rest, give them the weekend off, come back Sunday and get ready to strap our boots up and go back on the road and play tough man football.
Edward Waters and Point University this Saturday in Valley, Alabama. Kickoff is at 1:30 p.m. at Ram Stadium in Valley, Alabama. Stay tuned to EWCTigerPride.com as we'll have some information coming out this week about broadcasting information for our games on the road. For our head coach Greg Ruffin, for our floor producer Linton Mickey, and for all those who make this broadcast possible, I'm Joshua Jackson. We'll talk to you again next week for another episode of The Greg Ruffin Show.